Painting doesn't always go as planned. In this video, I'll show you how I work through that. My process is not linear. I never really know the beginning, middle, and end point of a painting until I'm finished. Hi, I'm Christine Lashley, and welcome to my studio. I've been a professional artist and teacher for a long time. This is pretty close to being finished. Today on YouTube, I'd like to share with you this process of creating a big painting. Art's always going to be individual for a point of inspiration and process. I hope you enjoy watching how I created this painting. My whole purpose in creating this piece and the point of inspiration is a water park just outside of Charleston, where you could see a view of the water, collections and textures from the grass and the marsh. I find it really inspiring because of the shapes and the different textures. Plus the color combinations are really great. I have a lot of photos I use for reference, so it's not just one. Watching this video will show you how I take that initial inspiration and work through some different phases of the painting to create a final piece. This is about the process of creating a painting. It's not necessarily a how-to. In showing you my process, I hope this helps artists of all levels learn about what might be your process and work towards that. Okay, the first step is to get that inspiration down onto the big canvas. And then we'll go through a series of forward moves and backward moves that is basically problem solving as the painting gets created. Let's take a look. Still something happening here. This wedge shape reflected here. I'm going to measure here, just double check that. I'm going to try a design move to break up the really concentric kind of C or U shape that I had there for that cloud. Because when I'm working, I really can only see this area of the painting. I don't even see that area of the painting. What I need to do is look at it in a mirror, or having the phone going is actually kind of helpful for showing it to me small. Let's take a look at that. I have color and I have shape. And now I'm going to be shifting my value, just playing a little bit around with, can I make this lighter? The light is coming here. Having some glitter on some sandbank would shift the value and break that apart. The next step is to work with full paint. I mixed large piles of color. I talk about this more in my online class program, so if you're interested in learning on a deeper level how I made this painting, do join the class. I just start applying large passages of wet color that I can blend together. My colors match some of the underpainting washes. Stepping back as I create it, and sometimes even working on that without my glasses, just to maintain the big shapes and make sure that the differential between the light areas and the dark areas are reading from a distance. That's a key part of the initial block-in passage. I like to channel how the paint is flowing, meaning the drips and the splashes and some of the weird things that show up can actually be incorporated into my painting, as it's almost like the painting and I are working together to make the image happen. So I get to select what ends up getting kept on the painting and what I end up editing out. And this kind of push-pull process is woven into the whole creation of the painting. I really like the beginning stage. I feel like there's huge amounts of potential there. It's only later in the mid-process that things can start to go sideways and problems come up. After the creative, free-flowing stage, I reassess for my edges and my light-dark patterns. I'm also trying to establish a strong sense of light and a mood for the painting. I need to really kind of button down that time of day. Is it high noon? Is it maybe 2 or 3 p.m.? I don't necessarily need to have such a literal interpretation of a fixed point in time, because the painting is also about maybe the passage of time or a summer day. It's not one point of fixed time. However, nailing the source of light can help the painting to feel really cohesive. So I feel like that is a good balancing act to keep mentally in mind as I work through this mid stage of the painting. I'll take paint off and add paint back on. I sometimes in this middle process, it feels like I'm not getting very far ahead with the painting. But what I'm doing is I'm doing small advances. I'm going maybe 10 steps forward, 2 steps back, sometimes 20 steps back. But then by not treating the process as a point of worry, the next move might be 40 steps ahead. So it's definitely a dance back and forth. Once the middle stage is done and I've worked out some of the problems that arise with the painting, then there is the finishing phase. In the end, to decide how I move towards the finish, there's a point of narrowing choices. I've established that it's daytime. I've established that I have a certain area that is being developed as the focal area. Some points that I moved through with this painting were a careful establishment of the horizon line. It has to feel right is the best way I can explain that. Moving it up an inch or down an inch can make a big difference. So establishing the horizon, establishing the time and mood, then checking my shapes, such as, are the clouds little? Are they overlapping? Do they get lofted up? So that was a point of moving forward with this painting. That kind of was a key point. I know by now, after painting marsh grass so much, that that's going to require many layers of paint. I put down paint and kind of assess each move, but the trick is to not get overly cerebral about it as I create. I still need to be in that intuitive state, because that just fosters more creativity for me. Sometimes it's difficult to tell exactly when the painting is finished, and I do get asked this question a lot. When is the painting done? How do you know it's finished? There's no one specific threshold to reach for finishing a painting. So finishing a painting at that point is a personal choice, but yet for students that are trying to work towards getting that intuitive, okay, put the brush down, stop moment, I would suggest taking a photo of the work to make it small, letting it rest and seeing that over time, just living with it. Then you can turn it upside down, turn it on its side. Those are all kind of tricks to see the work again anew and make sure that your eye is not snagging on one specific part. I've learned from creating my marsh paintings that I have to pay attention to the time of day, the shape of the clouds, in particular how the blues relate to each other. I try to not have one big pile of the same blue, and instead I like to shift that color slightly from the right side of the painting to the left side of the painting. As I work on details towards the finish, I am working on all parts of the painting. Stick around till the end of the video and I'll show you the completed artwork. If you're enjoying this content, thanks so much for liking and subscribing. It helps my channel to grow. I really appreciate it. I have some other videos on my channel that show process for creating a painting in a smaller version, such as my Tuscany video, and also mixing colors such as green. So you might want to check it out. Here's the final painting, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. Thanks for hanging out with me while I showed you my process and made this painting.